Hi there, this is a short guide on the boss Ixillis in Remnant from the Ashes. Ixillis can often be a roadblock for some players in their first campaign, and problematic for those even in their later playthroughs. Ixillis is integral to the main choice you make in the story, so it will always appear at the end of courses. This guide will be done on a character with 75 trait points and gear score 20 on Apocalypse. The trait points are seemingly reasonable for this stage of the game, and gear score 20 is the most difficult possible instance of this boss. I will only showcase gear appropriate for this stage of the game. Keep in mind that this guide is applicable whether you're on your first or fifth playthrough, so just because I don't mention items that you'd only have in New Game Plus doesn't mean they won't work. Ixillis can open the fight with several different attacks, but usually it will be the horizontal slash. This is a hard-hitting attack that can reach a huge amount of the arena at once, but can easily be dodged with practice. You can also hide behind the large fences in the middle of the arena to protect yourself, but these will eventually be destroyed. Ixillis also has a vertical slash as well that can be avoided the same way, but it won't cover as much of the arena. Both of these attacks are preceded by a chirp, so if you're practiced enough, you can dodge them without even watching the boss. Ixillis will also throw spore clouds in your direction that deal corrosive damage. They deal quite a lot of damage, but are easily dodged with a roll or just a moment of sprinting. You can hide from these behind the large fences, just like the spear slashes, but remember that these will eventually be destroyed. Ixillis' final attack will be to point its spear in the air and summon wisps from the cavern walls to attack you. You need to shoot them or risk being overwhelmed very quickly. If you find that a wisp is about to collide with you, resist the temptation to roll away from it. It will continue to pursue you and hit you regardless, and then you'll have lost precious time to dispose of the other wisps. If you do this fight in co-op, be aware that the wisps will spawn from both sides of the bridge, not just one. Once you've dealt enough damage to the boss, usually around 1/4 of his HP, a second Ixillis will spawn from a cocoon behind you. The prospect of keeping an eye on and dodging both of them at once can be terrifying, but don't panic. Only one of them will pose an active threat at a time. You can also destroy the cocoon yourself and take off 25% of the second Ixillis' HP in the process, but this will change the flow of the fight in a way that many people find more difficult. Try both for yourself and see what works for you. After the second Ixillis spawns, it will approach the bridge. The two of them will chirp and begin to charge up a Banshee Scream. This is a DPS check. Their weak spot opens at this time, so take aim at their heads and deal massive damage to both of them to prevent the attack from going off. If you fail, you will take huge damage, and could quite possibly die from full HP. After the DPS check is over, the first Ixillis will take a break and lurk at the other side of the cavern for some time, and the second will now resume attacking you, much like the first did. After some time, the first Ixillis will approach the bridge again, and begin firing massive beams across the bridge, slowly moving from one side to the other. They deal huge knockback, and can knock you off the bridge, so you need to be careful of where you're standing. These lasers also trigger the destruction of the fences I mentioned earlier. Once the light show is finished, the second Ixillis will finish its attacks and the two will charge a scream once again. The cycle continues until you or one of the bosses die. When you kill one of the bosses, the other will become furious and immediately spawn wisps to attack you. It will then alternate between lasers and its regular attacks, with great haste in between. If you kill both of them within a very short window of one another, you will be dropped a different material than usual to craft the Guardian Axe instead of the Hive Cannon. The easiest way to ensure your success is to get each boss very low and wait until they're both near to the bridge. Then kill one and quickly turn on the other. If the other is far away when the first dies, your odds of killing it quickly are greatly diminished. Awareness is crucial for this fight. You should make an effort to know where the passive Ixillis is going to fire a laser, so you don't accidentally run into it and get knocked off the bridge. You also need to remember that the spore clouds that are thrown at you will linger on the bridge and can quickly damage and corrode you if you walk into them, so be careful with your dodges. Try cycling between backsteps and rolls depending on what hazards are near you, as it can greatly reduce the number of times you die from these things. Your choice in equipment is also essential to your success. Although utility and defense is important because Ixillis is a hard-hitting boss, if you lack sufficient damage, you're nearly guaranteed to die, no matter how tanky you are. For your primary weapon, anything with 15 meters of range or higher is ideal. Marksman-type weapons, like the hunting rifle, devastator, and sniper rifle, are exceptional due to their high weak spot bonuses, but other weapons will suffice as well. However, Shotguns and other close-range weaponry should be avoided. Your choice in secondary weapon doesn't matter as much, but it should definitely be able to handle the wisps if your primary weapon isn't good for them. The repeater pistol, the submachine gun, and the Spitfire are all fine choices for this. It's hard to give suggestions for trinkets, because there are so many possible items you might have picked up, but so few of them are useful for this fight. The best advice I can offer is to use at least one damage boosting trinket if you have any, like Gunslinger's Charm, Talisman of Animosity, and Braided Thorns. As for armor, you can basically choose from anything except the Adventurer, Scrapper, or Cultist set. All the others available to you at this point provide an adequate enough damage boost, with the exception of Leto's set, which just provides an ungodly amount of defense. Your encumbrance isn't particularly relevant for this fight, as you won't need to perform rolls back to back, or consume very much stamina avoiding attacks. Your mod choice should be determined by what's missing in your setup and strategy. If you need damage buffs for your weapons, Hunter's Mark and Hotshot will perform admirably. If you need burst damage, mods like Breath of the Desert, Radioactive Volley, and Gravity Core will all give you what you need. If you're having difficulty with the wisps, you can utilize Veil of the Black Tear, Rattleweed, or Iron Sentinel to help clear them out. Damage over time is a good way to damage both bosses at the same time as well. Apply Bleed or Burn to the passive Ixillis, and let it slowly lose health as you focus on the active one. Swarm, Iron Sentinel, and other summon mods can serve a similar purpose, but they are harder to control. If you're not able to defeat the DPS check despite your best efforts, you can use Howler's Immunity, Flicker Cloak, or Mender Zara to try to tank it. Or use Riftwalker to avoid it entirely. If you're willing to take a risk, you can even iframe the first few ticks of the scream to hopefully survive. Lastly, come prepared with Greenleaf and ammo boxes. Corrosion is one of the most dangerous debuffs in the game, halving your armor once the bar fills and leaving you extremely vulnerable to damage. Greenleaf will cure it, as well as reduce damage from Ixillis' spore clouds and slow the buildup of corrosion. Ammo boxes might not be necessary, since ammo is dropped when the fences in the center of the bridge explode, but it never hurts to be prepared, especially on higher difficulties. That's all the advice I have today for taking on Ixillis. Hopefully you found some useful info here, and if not, leave a comment and I'll reply to it if I'm able. I wish you the best of luck fighting this tough duo, and I hope you have a great day.